All right. So, hi, everybody. I'm Jack. This is Wayfarin Strangers. And as always, I am joined with Andrew.
Oh, hi. The video version.
The
Oh my
video
gosh.
versions. We're here. We're looking at
What?
you.
I got to mark down. We're doing all sorts of interesting stuff. I'm like marking now it's a bit more in depth. I'm like, okay, at 14 minutes and 11 seconds, the show started.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Every the Coffee Subs got the pre-show, so you
Yeah.
got 14 minutes of pre-show.
Yeah.
Now the show proper starts.
Yes. The proper show.
Now I got to mark down. I'm adding a new section here for mistakes
Yes.
and goofs.
Mistakes and goofs are going to happen.
So you'll hear me and see me clicking and typing
Clickety,
away.
clickety, click. I hear it all the time when I edit.
Wow, how dare you?
I hear it
I'm
all
gonna
the
be-
time when I edit. Okay. Well, we
Getting
are.
dark.
Yeah. Pretty sure those are velociraptors.
Pretty sure these are velociraptors.
You sounded exactly like him.
You could not tell
Exactly.
where I stopped and Joel began.
Right.
So,
It's indiscernible.
oh my gosh, but this is we're back. This is what we're doing. This is what we're trying. This is our first go at it, and
Right.
I hope that works and makes people happy. I just we talk about like how we just want to continue to be additive with our show and building the empire, but really just
We're in
just
the empire business, as you may
yes.
be aware.
Yes, we're in the empire. Yeah. Yeah. But not that business. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm also a little nervy nerves, even though I stream so much and I should be used to looking at my face now. I'm not. Because even when I stream and people are like, "Oh, I'm what like I have people who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm like eating dinner and you're on my TV right now." And I'm like, "Stop. Stop."
Stop putting me on your television during the day.
Yeah, don't do that.
There's
but
so many good shows to watch.
don't put me on your TV.
But
No.
also,
Nicely done.
Surprise.
no, I won't do it. I won't do it.
I know you won't do it. You'll do it when I'm not expecting
Surprise.
it. See? There it is. There it is. Yeah. So we are back. We are back. Before I start going through the rundown, I want to talk about, and we were kind of mentioning this a little bit in the pre-show stuff about, did you see the tweets regarding The Last of Us Part 1, the remake, and how one of the devs that worked on it said this is basically the most in-depth project that they had ever been a part of. It's not just a cash grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, as soon as you like go there, then
It's not, I can assure you, it's not a cash grab.
no,
We could do visual gags now. We could do visual gags on the show. It's
We
incredible.
can. Oh my
We
God.
can't play to the camera too much because people still listen to this as audio. It's important.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a
enough, fair
balance
enough.
because I watch video podcasts and then I listen to the show sometimes and I was like, wait, what are they doing? And then I'm like, oh yeah, video. So we'll try to be as mindful as we possibly can. But
Yeah, but that's again, we'll get right back. Not too much of a tangent. This is big to get people to watch the video. That's all I'm saying.
that is true. No, you're right. So just to go back to that, it was Robert Morrison, who is on Twitter at Robert Animator, but it's ANIM8, the number 8ER. So his bio lists your friendly neighborhood animator at Ben Studio, credits The Last of Us Part 1, God of War 2018, Injustice 2, and Resident Evil 7. Knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he said, and I quote, "It's just a cash grab," in quotations. So I'm quoting his quotations.
Right.
Robert goes on to say, "Actually, it's the most meticulously built and crafted project that I have ever seen or been a part of in my entire career. The highest level of care and attention to detail possible." So I need it
Right.
now, not September 2nd, now.
I mean, it's what is it? 6 weeks away. It's
I
not
know.
even. That's not even that far out right now.
I know, but I'm just so. I'm so excited, and the hype just keeps building. But then I get annoyed too because then people start bitching. "Ugh, it was already remastered. Now it's $70," and it's like, stop.
Yeah.
Like it's worth it. And I didn't like. I just retweeted Robert Morrison's tweet. I didn't, whatever. And then I put a little subtle Jack sprinkle in there, like a day and a half later or whatever, where I was like, people are going to spend their money on the things that they love and are passionate about, or they won't. Like,
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. I don't care. I literally don't care if someone's like, oh my God, here's a $10,000 statue of a Final Fantasy game. Like, and they're going to go out and buy it. I'm not over there being like, why? Like, that's so dumb. I'm not doing that. Why do people feel the need to constantly do that?
It's the internet.
I know. I can't stand it. I love it and I can't stand it.
I could understand somebody. We are playing through The Last of Us right now.
Yeah.
Not at this exact moment, but moments, days, hours ago, what have you. It still holds up really, really well.
It does.
That speaks more to the initial, how far ahead it was of its time than anything about whether it should be remade or remastered or anything like that. I'm of the mindset of if what they're going to do seems to be like bring it in line with I'm of two minds about this. Okay. let me back up a second. What George Lucas does, I don't really care for that. Right? Like going back and making huge massive changes to a thing that already existed, right?
And was beloved.
And was
as it
already
was.
beloved. Yeah, in its actual incarnation, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
feels a little I don't know about that. On the other side of that coin, a more recent contemporary example that I think improved things dramatically. You're going to laugh. Please don't. Please don't. Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? I think him coming in and saying like, here was my vision for this thing. This is what I want. Was it way too long? Did it still have a lot of stuff that probably could have been cut? Yeah. But tonally it was consistent, right?
But why would I laugh? Because I did not like the theatrical release of Justice League, and I loved Zack Snyder's cut.
Oh yeah. No, I'm saying in general. A lot of
Okay.
It is a very not you specifically.
Got it.
but
I was like, why are you telling me not to laugh?
No. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like
The collective.
it's the butt of a joke. Like release the Snyder cut. Like we since the first cut of that film, it has been a hashtag, right? And it's just
Yeah.
a very funny thing that has happened. So like, one hand the Lucas side, not so much. Other hand the Snyder side. Okay, I actually kind of enjoyed that. This seems closer to the Snyder side, but even, I don't know, it's like a mixture. Like we're getting all of the full force of the tech that we have at our disposal right now in PlayStation 5 in terms of graphical fidelity, the processing, the motion capture that was done years ago. They're not bringing everybody back in. It's like all of this data was here. We just couldn't use all of it.
Yeah.
So why not go back and make these two stories much more cohesive and kind of like just fit seamlessly almost. I think I just think that would be awesome. One
Yeah.
wish that I have is if they can figure out a way to do it. And I don't know how much is actually going to change, but like if they're somehow able to weave in Left Behind into the main story rather than have it be like a separate piece, like if you think there's a point where we could like add that in naturally, maybe between seasons or something, I think that might be pretty cool.
You mean on the HBO show or
No. I mean like in the game, like in the September 2nd game, like if they can figure out a way to get Left Behind, not as a separate thing, but weaved into the story, I think that might be pretty cool.
I mean, if you are looking at it from like a linear perspective, then it would be after the prologue with Joel, Sarah, and Tommy. Then it would slot right in there perfectly. But I could also see it fitting really at any point. Like when at the end of the fall chapter before winter starts, that would also be a good place because you could have this kind of like almost like an out of body experience because Joel is, you know, gravely injured and we don't know, first time playing, you're like, fuck. Like I think I came downstairs, I was like, Andrew, if this man dies, I'm dead.
I was like, I have no information for you.
Yeah, meanwhile he beat it like
I did
twice.
have the information.
Yeah, he did. He's Fort Knox, but
In this house, we do not spoil. Never.
Yes, we don't. We're very good with that. But yeah, I think tonally it might be able to fit there as well and then go right into Ellie kicking off the winter chapter. So those are like the two sections that I think wouldn't throw off any part of the game as a whole.
Yeah. Overall, that's kind of my thought about it. Is like I love this. To me, it's worth the money. To me, it is not simply if they were charging $70 for a remaster, I'd be like, that hurts. That stings.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is like there was a launch title for PS5, Demon Souls. Demon Souls, I think, was a PS2 game, maybe a PS3. I can't remember. I don't play the Souls.
Wow.
I don't play the Souls games.
Punishing.
That's not where I find joy in gaming. Getting my ass kicked constantly. But that I feel is more, it's closer to this, where it's like we had a thing, it was beloved, it was a little ahead of its time, it was crazy good, and we're just bringing it to modern consoles, prettying it up, making it look even better than it did. So, and that was a full price game too. That was $70 for Demon Souls. So
Yeah.
there is a precedent for that.
Yeah, I mean, it literally says in the remake trailer, built from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't just, like, slap filters on this and then just be like, no.
Surprise.
Yeah, it's not.
Surprise.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
There's your filter.
There's
They
my
didn't just
filter.
press the PS5 button. It's a little bit more in depth than just checking the PS5 box and pressing export. It's not quite.
No.
It's hard work.
And again, we've been hearing rumors about this for 2 years now. So, and that was also like well under development by that point. So, but anyway, all right. So let's get. I just wanted to get that out of the way, but we do have a lot of listener comments to get to before we even get to start the episode. But just to kind of run down the list here. So if you guys, hi, listening and watching, viewers, listeners, this is going to be fun. But if
Listeners.
you love our show, or even just like it enough to go over to iTunes and review, just rate, share it with people, spread the word. We just would greatly appreciate that very much. Reviews make our day, week, month, truthfully, like no BS, makes us very happy when we come across those. So today, our main segment, we are still in Pittsburgh and we are in the financial district, picking up right where we left off 3 weeks ago because we took a week off. And after we cover all of that good stuff, we will have our emotional toll. We will figure out if we would or would not survive. I'm kind of interested if it will be a yes, I'm going to die, or no, I'm going to live. We just never know. But but before we get there, should I do the sound? Should I do the sound?
I didn't take it from the last episode yet. I do have the sound, but it's not ready to. But I did take it, and I'm going to again apply a 20 to 30 second echo and delay thing to it. But please take it away. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Andrew's joke corner.
Oh my gosh. I hope you're ready for this one.
I'm not. I am? No.
Yeah, it's back. It's hard.
I know.
I want to
like,
because
what?
I'm looking at you and you're here, but you're over here. So, all right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ready for a good one? Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you a sad story, okay?
I don't want a sad story.
Sad story.
Okay. I'm leaning in.
I was staying at a hotel, and they tried to charge me for air conditioning. Mm-hmm. That wasn't cool.
What a dad joke. What a dad joke. Oh my God.
That's... Cheers.
That wasn't cool. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Nicely done.
Thanks,
Oh,
Joel.
Yeah. Look, doesn't it feel good for hearing affirmations from Joel?
It's true, but I initiate the affirmation, so it's not quite as impactful as it is when I do it for you.
True. All right, but we have three comments from Chris Piasecki, C Piasecki 9. And so again, we have been recording shows out of order. Not the review shows. The review shows are very much in order. However, we have recorded 2 or 3 bonus shows now by this point where we've talked about some things, so I apologize if we repeat things in the future. So future you guys listening, you might hear things that we talked about. But C Piasecki 9, your account is deleted. I hope everything is going okay with you and all is well, and we hear from you again soon. But in the meantime, Andrew, would you like to read the first comment?
I could do that. Here we go. My monitor's over here, so I'm not going to be,
Yeah.
From C Piasecki 9, deleted account?
I wrote that.
I know. The Pittsburgh left thing. Oh, this is right. Yeah, when I talked about the real defining characteristic of Pittsburgh I knew about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just sweeping the only defining characteristic. Damn. Everyone from
Look.
Pittsburgh is mad at you right now,
That's not true.
including C Piasecki 9.
C Piasecki, he wrote in to back me up on this one. So
Keep reading.
I think. All right. Yeah, that was pretty much correct how Andrew put it. But it's been my experience that speeding through the newly green light ahead of traffic isn't really necessary. Most people, older than 35, will let the left turning car go before they proceed ahead. It's a pretty common traffic practice to concede the right of way to that lead car facing you and let the traffic flow. Because goodness knows there are a lot of other barriers in the city to slow the traffic down. Mm-hmm. There it is.
There it is.
It's one of
Thank
those
you.
things when you know you know. With
Yes.
age comes experience. So the people that are of a certain age are like, you know what? I've been on the other side of it. I'm going to let this guy go.
That's true. That is true. I've been driving for almost 20 years now, so it's like you pick things up. Yeah.
In Philadelphia, we have a thing that's almost the exact opposite of that, where the light will not even have turned green, but the perpendicular light is turning yellow, and people are just like, good enough, and they just go through.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a
They're like-
Frogger every once in
They're
a while.
like, wait a minute. Wait, where's this guy going? It's still red. That one's red too.
It's pink.
fine.
It's pink.
It's fine. Yeah, right. It was
pink.
orange. It was orange when I...
Orange.
Don't worry about it.
All right, but next comment from C Piasecki 9. Per Star Trek, how dare you? Just kidding. Just kidding. Because I said that I never watched Star Trek because I'm not a Trekkie and I don't care and I'm sorry, don't be mad. But I deserve that. But Star Trek rules. I'm not wrong, yo. And oh yeah, lol, do you remember the scene in Cable Guy when Jim Carrey is making that insane soundtrack with his voice and attacks Matthew Broderick and just continues making the noises with his mouth while fighting?
That's the exact... That's my... I guess I know Star Trek. I
Oh
guess.
my god. So, oh my gosh, it's freaking hilarious. That is from the classic Trek episode Amok Time, where Spock fights Kirk in ceremonial battle to the quote-unquote death.
Yeah.
I know you didn't ask for this, but I'm a Trekkie, damn it. And yes, option number 3, like Andrew figured, is the outcome. Dr. McCoy manages to fake Kirk's death with a tranquilizer. 2 interesting points. Point 1, Kirk does, however, get his shirt strategically ripped open in a very Padme Attack of the Clones arena fight kind of way. Ooh la la. Now we know where Star Wars got it, lol. 2, Spock is whacked out of his mind and battles Kirk because he is in the throes on the Pon Far, a Vulcan mental state that basically equates to them being uber horny. Not kidding.
Oh,
Star Trek
my.
rules.
That's another Star Trek reference.
Interest-
Oh my!
I get that one. I know that one.
I know
I
that.
get, yeah, I get
understood
that reference.
Yeah.
I'm Captain America right now.
That scene, Cable Guy, is very near and dear to my heart. I love that film deeply. It's deeply misunderstood and under appreciated. So I get that reference when they're at medieval times. Love that film. Well done.
I'm an upset Sia Piasecki and Andrew at the same time. I just don't. Maybe I just didn't see it at the right time of my life,
You didn't.
but I didn't like it.
Everybody was going in thinking this is Jim Carrey, the funny man, the mask, Dumb and Dumber, that sort of thing. And he took this turn to a little bit of a darker place. Directed by Ben Stiller, who is directing Severance now. It was kind of a pre-Severance,
Severance
thing,
Chef,
but yeah.
Chef's kiss.
I'm just
So
saying,
good.
it's worth a revisit, folks. If you saw The Cable Guy and did not like it as maybe a teen or a young adult, go check it out now with a fresh perspective. And there are a lot of people Bob Odenkirk, for instance, is in it.
All right. Noted. All right, but in the meantime, take that last comment.
Focus. C. Piasecki concludes, I completely agree with Andrew. Thank you. That Joel's memories of Sarah aren't as intense at this point. He is a beaten, grizzled, hardened man because of it and because of this world. But the intense pain of her death, there's a bug here, small bug, just flew in front of me. That's one thing I'm going to have to contend with. But the intense pain of her death is foggy and numb. I don't think the sound of her name is brutal anymore. I think that the effects are 1,000%, but the sharp, piercing stab is gone, replaced with just emotionlessness over it.
And I agreed with you. I mean, we talked that through. Okay, so some of these questions, it's a little bit of like a defense for in my defense kind of thing. And I don't mean it as like a I'm offended type thing. But some of these talking points are brought up intentionally to have conversations about them. Not necessarily that that's how I feel about it.
Sure.
But it's the thought comes to my head of how would this man be going through this world even 20 years later after his daughter's death? How would certain things affect him? Would it be possible? Not, I absolutely believe he's torn up every time he sees the word Sarah or the name Sarah. I don't think that.
Pretty common name.
It is an extremely common name, and especially in video games. It's just completely overcooked. Can we stop? But I agree with you, and I agree with C. Piasecki, and I don't think it's that sharp, hurt anymore, where it's like if you have even the smallest reference, you fall apart kind of thing. I don't think he's in that place anymore.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yes, let's dive into the financial district. So for those,
boy. It's where I've always wanted to go.
right? Let's go down to the financial district. For those watching, I won't be able to see the kind of dumbass faces that I make while I go through all of these notes, so I apologize. And for those just listening at home or on the trail or wherever you're at, I'm still making weird faces. So
Long haul truckers,
yes.
Don't
Amazon
be watching the
deliveries.
Video. Don't be watching the video version while you're
No.
driving.
No, be safe, please.
Right.
Don't need to look at this. So, after that very heartwarming conversation with Ellie, which included a rifle, etc., Joel drops down to the street level and it is time for battle. But there's a bit of back and forth convo here between an out-of-breath hunter who's joined the rest of the pact. He informs the others that a quote-unquote tourist killed them all. They say, of course... What? Okay. They say, of course, to set off and search the area for this tourist and to presumably kill said tourist. Lol, okay. But from here, however you go about fighting the hunters, once you are done, be sure to make your way through all of the places, which we will cover right now, real quick. So, we have Meridian Bank. We have Rivers Cafe, which features Dawn of the Wolf poster, a looking for a good time flyer, business licenses, a calendar showing October the 13th, X'd out in red, and the 31st circled in red. This is a generic, lovely coffee vibe here. Mm-hmm. And then we have, how do I say this? Don Fiocchi?
Fiocchi.
Fiocchi?
If it's gnocchi,
Yeah.
Fiocchi.
Okay. So let's say Don Fiocchi. And I want to talk about something else regarding that name, but I will later.
I want to talk about pasta. Let's go. No.
But within this shop, we have newspaper stands, veggie artwork on the walls, tables and chairs, the usual that you would find in a sandwich shop similar to this. Then we have an office building above the Don sandwich shop, which features desks with personal items, cards, cutouts, drawings from children, more supplies, all the office paraphernalia that you would expect to find. There is an artifact in the freezer here, though, titled Firefly's Note. And Andrew, would you like to read that?
I could do that. It says, "We don't need the Fireflies. Sure, they might have started the fight, but we're the ones that have done all the work. It's our blood in the streets. I don't agree with them waiting to take the fight to other cities. They need to earn their independence on their own. And I definitely won't take orders from some Firefly leader all the way on the other side of the country. Before the fighting ends, I suggest we rid ourselves of them. This is our city, our people. I don't see why we can't rule ourselves."
Some typos there. I apologize. You did great. You gotta talk. It's not just video. It's not just video. He was pointing at me.
Guys,
yeah, it's my fault.
You got to get the video. You got to get the video version. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, people don't have time to watch this. So there are, dead, hanging, seated, tortured, and bound bodies in the freezer where that note was found, which is just, awful, kind of par for the course. But after the fight, Joel signals for Ellie to come on down.
Okay. And just so just a huge value add. Listeners, nothing is lost here. Video viewers, here is the cutscene.
All right, come on down.
How'd I do?
How about something a little more your size? It's for emergencies only.
Okay.
Now the safety's on. Do you know how to switch it off?
I do.
Okay, you gotta respect it. This is not.
Joel, I'll be careful.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, we love it. We love it
You
so
saw
much.
in the video version all that fire. So many Molotovs for that point.
You?
So
Is that what you did?
I threw bricks to get them all together, and it was just Molotovs. This game is a complete chaos run for me right now. I'm like, how can I kill as many people with one shot as possible?
I like it.
Molotovs. It's Molotovs.
That's true. Weirdly enough, I don't think I used a single Molotov in that play. My most recent play of it.
I went up to the second floor so you can be like on the overlook, and I did not kill a single person along the way, and it was like brick, bottle, brick, and they kept getting closer together, and I was like, here we go. I think I got like the first 5 guys in one shot, and then the other waves come in, but pretty cool.
All right. So right after that second heartwarming to an extent, we'll talk about a little bit more in depth conversation between Joel and Ellie. There's a dialogue prompt with Ellie by the body hanging with a thief sign around its neck. So Ellie says, "Whoa, Nellie, harsh punishment." But harsh punishment. Joel, shit. It ain't that much different than what the military does back in Boston. Ellie, I guess not. And that's pretty much it. And I think that's all it needs to be. It just shows the extent of what happens to these people, presumably all around the country in places like this. From there, head towards the end of the road by Don Don's shop and grab any more supplies plus the ample amount of parts lying on a table and head towards the gate. You'll pass more sleeping quarters, etc., and if you have your headphones on, you'll hear the consistent buzzing of flies around this area because hygiene is not important in this game. But Joel says, "All right, do your thing, Ellie." And Ellie, "Stupid chain is stuck, hang on." Joel, "I am." Meanwhile, he's holding the gate up at this point. And Ellie eventually slides a cart beneath it, and Joel, "Good thinking." So you go under and through, and Ellie says, "How about you get me up there?" Pointing to, of course, where there is yellow tape off to the side. But before that, swipe the ground goodies and then get the cart from the gate, which you'll need Ellie's help with. So bring the cart over to that yellow tape just mentioned a moment ago, climb up and over, and bam, there is a workbench. So do what you can and then proceed from there. But before we proceed, let's just chit chat. So,
Fine.
yes, well, I can't see you
I
right
want to
now.
go to the workbench. I want to go to the workbench.
But the balance between human versus human fights or combat versus human versus infected is perfect in this game. A lot of the time, it's more of the same pattern in a lot of games. It's the same kind of flow, but in this game, it plays out so well from one group of hunters in the hotel to a bloater in the basement, and then back to a different group of hunters referencing the other hunters that have been killed, and so on in this district. But for you, Andrew, can you name a few games off the top of your head that have also done this well, but also a few that maybe perhaps have not done it so well?
The difference between
Bouncing back and forth.
different types of enemies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. A couple come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one you should play. It's called Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Resident Evil games have always been great at their enemy varieties, with the exception of potentially Resident Evil 7, which was almost exclusively one kind of thing that I won't spoil because it's terrifying.
I really want to play it.
And worth experiencing yourself. It would be very difficult to even explain, but like, let's take Resident Evil 2, for instance. It's a game that eases you into a variety of different enemies. So you start with your standard like zombie, and you see how they move and how they work, and they kind of shamble. They can pick up speed a little bit, but for the most part, they move. All right, and you're like, okay, good. Then they'll be like, here's a zombie dog, and you're like, ooh, faster. Doesn't do as much damage, but you got to get too many of them. Then they're like, here's a licker. Here's Mr. X. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the game builds it up to like, now you're dealing with all of these things. There's like, there's a dog, there's zombies, there's a licker, there's Mr. X. Have fun.
That's a lot.
At that point, you are much more well equipped than in the beginning of the game. So it's like, oh yeah, just use all of the things you've been learning up to this point, and you'll be fine, which is good. We just got some news about the sequel this coming this year, but God of War also did an amazing job with enemy varieties and types. Sometimes you'll fight the big kind of first mini boss you'd fight is a troll, and it's a massive enemy. I mean, it's got this huge stone pillar that it will just beat the shit out of you with. And you'll fight like the little, like the minions, the nobodies. You just hit them with the axe and they're gone. But it's nice to have a little bit of, when you get into a situation, you see, oh, here's this kind of enemy. Here's my approach. You're like, doesn't make a lot of sense to be super stealthy with a clicker. I mean, you could be for sure, but when you have a clicker, I tend to like distract them, like get them all in a kind of common area. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna shiv a bloater. You know, it's just not gonna happen. So,
No.
those are off the top of my head. Those are two. Yeah.
Another one that came to mind thinking about this is Red Dead Redemption 2. Because while like you have predominantly the human enemy in the Pinkertons or the O'Driscolls or, the various gangs and things like that, you also have like the wildlife element. So you have grizzly bears or just
True.
Yeah. So I think like the balance there, and I know it's very different because Red Dead's an open world game, so it's like less It's just not linear. You don't go from like, I'm absolutely going to fight a group of O'Driscolls and then going to hit up a grizzly for some battle. And then from there, I'm going to visit the Pinkertons, like to give myself variety. Like
Those
that's
O'Driscoll
not,
boys,
yeah,
They
like
get you
that's,
every time.
it's not that. It's very, kind of dealer's choice or player's choice. But with The Last of Us, I think it's just so good at that, like beat for beat, because if we are fighting too many bloaters, too many clickers over and over and over again, I think it would get boring. It would lose its kind of scare factor. So I like how they kind of sandwiched the bloater between hunters, which is a disgusting sentence I just said.
Yeah.
But
Ooh, that's bloater sandwich.
oh, gag. But that's kind of what I was getting towards.
Bloaty McBloatface. Yeah.
Yes. My second talking point is Joel and Ellie really become a team here in that sequence where he hands her the pistol, which is what my next line was. The offering of a handgun to her after the battle was, of course, in addition to his apology, non-apology. And for me, it felt so seamless. She had his back just as he had hers all along. She has had, rather, and will continue to have his back, despite his grumblies about it from the get-go. And we've talked about Joel seeing Ellie as an equal prior to this moment, but for me, this feel like that shift happened in real time. I think earlier, was it when she killed the guy who was trying to drown him? I think it was that, our last episode, when you said that was probably the moment where he felt that fear of, I need to view her differently. Like she's not this inept youth, essentially, who can't fend for herself. But that challenged his perception, like that alpha male perception of, that's not what I thought. Yeah. And so you kind of alluded a little bit to, that's when he likely saw her more of an equal than not. And I think this moment with the pistol was kind of solidifying that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't think it's just to be clear, maybe I said it on the episode at the time, but I think with Joel, it's literally it doesn't matter if you're like 14 years old or not. Like, I think he just assumes that everyone is useless. Like if he was escorting anybody, he'd be like, well, until you prove yourself, I'm just going to assume you are always on the verge of death,
Yeah.
But particularly because it was a teenage girl who was able to turn the tables, that was a kind of an awakening for him in a way. So, yeah. This was
he's
great.
being challenged and changed in a lot of ways already.
This, for video viewers, if you had watched that cutscene, there's just a moment when he goes to grab the rifle and she asks, like, how'd I do? And it's like the subtlest, like, nod, like, just no, I don't even think there's a sound, but he does like nod, and you're like, that's like high praise, Joel, high praise.
It is from someone like him. And that's you can pick that up from Ellie pretty much from the beginning of her needing affirmations from him.
Sure.
And that's a very, very teenage girl thing to do. And I'm speaking from experience. And conversations that we have, particularly myself, when it comes to Bella, our daughter, where I'm just like, I have to sit her down and I'm like, it's not, okay, again, I don't want to paint everyone with the same brush. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just talking from my own experience. And, that whether you had a very strong father figure in your life or you didn't, I did. Fortunately, I'm very fortunate, but I still, those affirmations weren't always met. And I think that that's just kind of a dissonance between, and you might be able to, confirm or shoot this down right out of the sky. Like there's that dissonance between a father-daughter relationship, especially as she's getting older, because you have less in common with them. So their way of kind of filling that gap is like, did I do a good job? It's something as simple as that. And it's like, yeah, man, like, it's cool. And like, because I remember not getting a lot of that. Like as a kid, I was always on the baseball teams or softball teams because I'm a girl. I was on the softball teams and I played hockey with my dad. And he was the coach or the assistant coach. And and then as I got older and aged out of that stuff, it's like, well, what do I have in common with my dad anymore? So then it got to the, well, let's go up the mountains because he was a big hunter. So the family would all go up there and he had, three-wheelers and just ATVs and all that stuff. And I was 10 years old riding a three-wheeler. And at the end, I'd be like, did I do a good job? Like, just because I needed that.
Hell yeah, I did.
Yeah. It's like, it's just a very natural thing. And Ellie has had that pretty much from the get-go. And I think Joel recognizes that, for example, back in Billstown, when he just kind of approaches the car and he's like, I just figured you should know you're doing a good job. Like there's a seamless thread happening here that I've mentioned a few times, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's real. That's the word I'm looking for. It's real. It's a very real world dynamic playing out for us, essentially.
I love
But
it.
yes. But once you hop over the small barrier, you're in a small cutscene, and it's a horrific one at that. You hear shooting in the distance, then see people running and falling who have just recently been shot to death. And Ellie says, what do we do? And Joel says nothing, as he grabs her shoulder and pushes her beneath the ledge of the window. So an armored truck, a Humvee, with hunters rides up by the dying woman on the road, and with a man laughing, a shotgun fires and kills her. And the hunter says, busy couple of days, huh? Whatever, man. Damn, no food. Old pair of shoes. Got nothing. Let's go. I lumped everyone together there because fuck hunters. But they shove the dead woman and then they drive away. Like these people couldn't be bigger pieces of shit. But Ellie says, oh man. And Joel, there ain't nothing we could have done. Ellie, I know, it's just, oh man. Joel, let's just get to that bridge. Ellie, okay, said through a frightened sigh, in my opinion. But before going outside, if you look through the windows, you can see signs for the Burger House, plus available office or retail space for rent, and more office and retail space available in a high traffic / visit building by Shaw & Sons, as well as a parking garage to the right. Oh, and the dead bodies, don't forget about those. So, take the door on your left, go down the alley, then take the door on your right, proceed up the stairs. And we overhear hunters talking here with well, at least they finally killed that couple. I was sure they made it out of the city. And you overhear them talking, and Ellie, shit, Joel, hunters. Hunter continues talking. Now, all we need to find is this fucking pickup truck duo. Pickup truck duo for life! That's what I'll call them from now on. So the hunter says there better been an army in that truck. How the fuck did they wipe out the entire crew over there? And Hunter says, let's keep searching. I want to wrap this up before sundown. And of course, from there, just take those sorry bastards out because by the time they're done talking, they pretty much round the corner and you're right there anyway. So from here, there's more office typical paraphernalia, desks, corkboards, industrial printers, etc. And we got some nameplates on the desks, though. We have John Schmidt, Sarah Hoopertz, Mark Davies, Adrian Castro, Brad Smith, Jose Vega, and just did cursory research here.
Uh-huh.
Very quick research. So I Googled Sarah Herpert's name, John Schmidt, and Jose Vega, and Adrian Castro. So Sarah either was or is still a current employee of Naughty Dog. Adrian Castro is an expert biome artist for Naughty Dog. Jose Vega is an environmental artist for Naughty Dog. So all of these people, I'm assuming, are either current or former employees of Naughty Dog. So I thought that was really neat and a nice little nod. But yeah, after that, round the desk, grab the artifact titled Final Attack Note. And Andrew, what does it say?
I'm ready to help. Here we go. We got them on the run. Most of their forces have retreated to Liberty Avenue. Come midnight, we strike. Gather every able body and arm them. If you can stand, then you can fight. Anyone that refuses to fight with us will be banished. Anyone that supports the army will be made an example of. Tonight, we put an end to this tyranny and start a new life for ourselves.
It's a war cry if I've ever heard one. In a note.
Sure.
But exit the office area and jump down through the broken walkway. You will see a Dawn of the Wolf poster right ahead, minus the wolf teeth.
Teefers.
Sorry.
Got some teefers.
Minus the wolf teeth. The appearances of these fictional characters look mighty similar to our protagonists. And I know that our protagonists are morally gray protagonists, but still, I just wanted to point that out. And same thing with Savage Star. Same thing with
Sauvage, as the French say.
Oh my God. Same thing with Savage Starlight. So a lot of like mirror worlds happening here to drive a point home, which I think is very interesting. And I love how that just enriches everything, in my opinion. Lots of opinions. I'm going to cut all that. But we have the standard.
Leave it. It's great.
We have the standard barricades, broken down police cruisers, piled up newsstands, turned over trash cans, the norm. But there's Mark's Pawn and Jewelry. Buy, sell, and trade. But for right now, we'll come back to the biz names. I wrote the biz names. As a big Hunter v. Joel and Ellie scene is underway. As always, take them out how you please, but watch for the tripwire traps in this section. They're very a Bill way to die.
I just want to tell you, I
What?
must have hit every fucking trap in this section.
There's like 3.
I was not paying attention to them, and I was trying to be sneaky. And I was like, because you have the guys up on the second floor, and I had my camera tilted up, and I'm like walking, and it's just like, it's like game over. And I was like, fuck. I was like, all right, I know that one's there. So I'm like, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to sneak around this car, and I tilt the camera up, dead again. I was like, are you fucking kidding me with these tripwires?
Can I tell you the last time that I streamed? And listen, I know where everything is in these games. Well, in this game in particular. When I streamed it, I was so distracted by talking to my stream people that like when I came out of the building, if you make that immediate right, dead.
Yeah.
And that's literally what happened.
I know.
I was like, amateur hour. Like
The trick for the trick for them, truly, and I figured this out after I got murdered 3 whole times. Well, the third time I had like when it loaded the third time, I was like, all right, because I always like run with like a 25% health bar. I don't really give a shit. I'm like, this is a chaos run anyway, like I said. So I was like, I loaded the game, I healed up to full. I like used the first aid kit. I was like, all right, now if I hit one of these things, whatever. No. And I still hit one, and it took like 90% of my health, and I'm like,
you didn't die? They always kill.
no, this one didn't. For whatever, it was the one that was in the bookshop or in the coffee shop, whatever. There's like one that's inside of a building. It's between bookshelves, and I ran face first into that one. That was a full out sprint. I was just coming around. I swung the camera, and it was like, I was like, fuck. The trick, watchers and listeners,
is not minding that it hurts.
right, is to run right through it. Just keep running. No, just have a brick or a bottle in your hand, and as you get close, if you're pulled back for the throw, it will lock on. Or no, it doesn't. You don't even have to be pulled back. It'll just like the green circle will click on to nearby traps. And that's what I ended up doing. I was like, well, now I have like PTSD about this thing. I don't know how many tripwires are in this level because I've hit 3 and I hate it.
Real quick, the quote that I don't know if you picked up on that, but it was a line that Fassbender's character in Prometheus says when he's stuck on the ship by himself and he watches Lawrence of Arabia. So as he's like, the trick is not minding that it hurts. And I'm like, this is so perfect because you're blowing up.
Right. Well, yeah. That's 100%.
That's all right. Side tangent. Anyway.
That's why pencils have erasers. That's why we have the restart encounter option in the menu.
True. That is true. But then, I already read that line. But there's a lot of hunter chatter going on here talking about the Taurus, which of course is Joel and Ellie, the pickup truck duo. Use all methods and means here, good barriers and cover within and without the structures. And after you beat these sons of bitches, Ellie says, oh man, endure and survive. And Joel, what? Oh, right, the comic book thing. But before looting the buildings and continuing onward, I just want to break down what we see here. So, there's a Vega Computer Service Center, phone repair, wireless upgrades, and accessories. There's Claire Flowers, gifts, and plants. Giselle's Shoe Palace, assuming she sells shoes. Schmidt Surplus Outfitter, also a Naughty Dog person name again. Broadway Army Navy Surplus Store, which I think is connected to the same Surplus Outfitter, but they looked like two different signs, so I wanted to note it. But anyway, we have a bookstore which features the Flammable Hill book, which we love, with the don't mess with the hill, you might just get burned, whatever that means line. HS&L Credit Union, Delta Direct Mailing Services, Top Alliance Real Estate, Bradley, and Partners. There's a banner on the street listing a B&R Film Festival that runs from October 31st to January 2nd. This corkboard also in the mailroom, the mailing services building. Mm-hmm. So it features a few flyers, and we're going to go into them. Club Dread Reggae Night every Friday at 9 p.m., featuring the Evergreens, Nutty Dead, the Smoochies, Edmund and the Brownies, the Ganjam Wing, DJ Week and the Paplayas, and that's located at 251 Ladville Drive. Free entry. Free in this economy?
In this economy? Sold.
Let's go. There's
Nicely done.
Oh, Joel.
That's Joel at the concert after every song.
Nicely done.
Hi! Before the next song.
Someone bumps into him at the mosh pit.
Hey!
Oh my God. Oh, I love it so much. Okay. We have basic 3D and visual effects tutorial, quick and easy courses with phone number tabs for pulling. A lost bike flyer, yellow frame, yellow saddle, stolen on February 26th at 10 a.m. It was last seen at University Avenue. Cash reward if found. Please contact Jean at 555-9547. Calling all anime and manga enthusiasts, the 3rd annual Otaku Festival, which is Saturday, February 21st, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are apartments for rent, 2 bedrooms, 2 restrooms, 1 wash area per unit, very low rates. Okay. Campus Beauty, which is spelled backwards, whatever that means, and an ad for a guitar for sale, plus much more flyers layered upon flyers. Wait, much more flyers layered upon more flyers. There we go. I got there.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. From the first floor mail area, go upstairs and round the desk on the left. There's an artifact titled Mob Attack Note. Go.
All right. I got it. Sorry. I had to scroll down a little bit. I scrolled too far down. I had to scroll back up. Mm-hmm. We finished scouring the city for any survivors.
No.
Sorry. Yep. Yep.
You fucked up.
It's a real. You do this like in the office. You're like.
Yeah.
October 10th. I just watched a mob douse Captain Mastros and the rest of my team in gasoline and burn them alive. The animals were actually celebrating. Some old fucker complained it was a waste of gasoline. There were too many of them. All I could do was slip away, but I'll remember all their faces. Gonna hunt each of them down if I have to.
Lots of vengeance happening all over the place. But from there, go to the end of the road where it says, no hope, spray painted on a barricade, and enter the rations depot on your right. There's another note there titled Truck Note, so snatch that. And what does it say?
Just as a quick aside, I also, somebody spray painted the rations depot to the irrational depot.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was very funny. It made me laugh. I don't know if I ever noticed that before. Maybe I did, but it's been a minute. But I was like, okay. I was like, oh, that's very clever. Truck Note says, we finished scouring the city for any survivors. There were a handful of soldiers hiding in the hotel. We took care of them. A bunch of us raided the stockade, or what was left of it. Most of the big machines got fucked up in the fighting. We won't be riding on a tank anytime soon. Likewise, none of the heavy artillery is salvageable. The one exception is the Humvee. We managed to repair it, including the 50 cal mounted gun. This thing is impenetrable. I'd like to see someone fuck with us now.
Oh, that cursed Humvee. But we'll talk about it soon.
Shake my fist at the sky. God damn it.
Fucking Humvee. But once inside this Fedra court-martialed building, grab the goods, but don't forget to use a shiv to grab even more better goods from inside the room. Graffiti from the hunters over the Fedra signs include the following. We won. Lost, which is featured on the tank, which cannot be used. And then death to freedom. Riot was all we had. Out of options. X'd out in red with free written over it. And just to note, below death to freedom, there are a bunch of dead soldiers. So it's not a great area. Wouldn't recommend. But Ellie prompts Joel here with a, hey, get me up there. An access ladder to a fire escape is what she is pointing to. And Joel, here, come here, Ellie. And boosted up she goes. She yanks down the ladder and it's time to climb. But before we get there, this was a long section of notes in particular, but not a long section to play through. And I love this because it's a tribute to the environmental artists that put their all into these locations bit by bit, studying the real world places and then adapting them into this world that they've created and built upon. And I'm happy to list it all, but I just had a moment where I was like, I hope our listeners genuinely enjoy that I do this because I don't want to waste people's time. I do. I hope so. I hope that the environmental artists that we talked about, Sarah Herpert, Jose Vega, Adrian Castro, like if these wonderful artists are listening, if they're listening, I would love to feel that we're not overlooking these things because that all of this took so much time.
Hey, environmental artists.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We're so thankful for you and the amazing job that you have done on this game and continue to do in whatever ventures you are now currently working on. Next, the hunters taking out the Fedra unit that was stationed here is a testament to how bad things had broken down in this particular area. I mean, not overall, because we know that. But the dead bodies on display, the victorious writing on the walls, it's all very cinematic, though. It's a grandiose approach to the oppression these people suffered or believed to have suffered. We don't know. We were not there, but we think hunters are bad, and from what we've seen, they absolutely are, the ones that we've seen. But how bad was Fedra that caused this sort of uprising? And I just kind of want to spitball with you. Like, what do you think? Because every quarantine zone is different. They might be run by the same people, but they're all different people with too much power. So what do you think their day-to-day was like?
Awful.
Yeah.
I think the story is meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
one Fedra camp is the same as every Fedra camp eventually, given enough time, right? Mm-hmm. Probably the similar things to what we've heard in the other ones, where stockpiling their rations and just treating, even in Boston, we saw people just pulled out, executed on the street, for potentially like a misreading of a thermometer, something as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge a good coup, but what we see is like then the pendulum swings too far in the opposite direction. So it's like now, we had these guys who were trying to uphold some semblance of law and order, and now it's swung the other way where it's like, if you're not with us, die. Right.
Yeah.
That's not good either. The balance, it's a difficult balance to strike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's what you always say in the apocalyptic situations. It's tough to convince the other side that they should give a shit about people, that aren't their people.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what these hunters became. Like, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, they were able to overtake these things. And yeah, they don't have the heavy artillery, as they called it, in the one tank that was there, which one tank is enough.
It's too many tanks for any one person to have,
Yeah.
for the record.
Yes. But you know, we just like they've been murdering people, even to the point of where in the office building, before you take out those two people that called Joel and Ellie the pickup truck duo, they're like, I thought that couple left the city. I'm glad they're dead, essentially. Like, what did that couple do to them?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
they were just either passing through. Now, again, we're making it's all conjecture, but you know, could they have been some of the notes that we've read where it's like, I will fucking kill every single one of them? You know,
Could be.
there were no names on the dead bodies outside, and we couldn't even get to them, so we won't ever know, and it's fine. But yeah, the pendulum needs to be in the middle, or yeah,
Jackson. Jackson.
Jackson.
Jackson.
Jackson. Yep.
Spoilers. Jackson.
Jackson.
Tommy's dam. Tommy's dam also. Maybe
Yeah.
just maybe Tommy's dam. I don't know.
Oh my God. But I love the Molotov guys wearing red. We talk about color used in this game here and there, but the mark of this yellow for access points and guidelines to progress in the game and red for bad guy with hot fire projectile is like just classic video game ass shit, and you love to see it. And that's all. That was literally my whole comment. I just wanted to say it.
If you ever want to know which barrels explode, it's the red ones.
It's the red ones. Yeah.
Those ones
you ever
explode
re-
when you shoot them.
Yeah. It's great, like, because otherwise, I get it. Like, the gamer would just be wasting time, like, trying to hop up on every single barrier or shoot every fucking dude. You know what I mean? Like, I understand it, but I like it. Look at this terrible tan from my watch. Anyway, I took it off because I kept hitting my mic. Side note for watchers.
Look at this, video watchers.
Yeah. I mean, this is the stuff I'll cut from the podcast, but yeah. All right, so last comment, the heavy machinery, the tank in the road would, again, probably be very much sought after any kind of mutiny or uprising. However, aside from protecting your forearms, Andrew,
Wow, I feel called out.
it's such a thing now. I love it. But what military vehicle would you go after in an effort to gain the upper hand over future or feared infiltrators and bandits, etc.?
Easy Harrier jet.
Nicely done.
Done. All right, on to the next part of the.
No, it would 100% be a Humvee or something like it, right?
Yeah.
You ideally, I mean, I'm trying to think of like, you know, if like a tumbler, like from The Dark Knight, is on the table, that something that is like an all-terrain. Because look at the world, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to be mobile. So like a tank is fine. Don't get me wrong. As long as you are on, like, a tank ain't going up like crazy uneven. It's not like necessarily. I mean, maybe I guess
they
maybe
can.
it could.
They can.
But like, I think the odds of a tank getting all stuck and jacked up, going over like 700 cars to get to a destination is probably pretty likely, right?
Yeah.
And then factoring all the fuel that they goddamn use for only going 15 miles an hour or whatever it is.
And they haven't been maintained for 20 years.
Right. The you know, treads, there is something to be said about a tank tread, you know, that's fine. But it seems to me like a Humvee or something like that. Again, you run into issues there as well, because suppose you pop a tire. Not a lot of Humvees around. Not a lot of spares in the world, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would certainly be, at least for the short term, I think a Humvee is like a solid bet. Other than that, maybe, you know, if you have the capability, a helicopter.
Yes.
You know, so, doesn't even have to be an attack helicopter, just one for transport. You know, if you can fly it, you get in, get your shit, get out. Be good.
Just boop, 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 boop.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that joke. It's the ultimate fuck you vehicle. You know, It was Bill Burr, I think. It was like, zombie apocalypse. Fuck that. I'm out. And he goes and he's just, and it's true. It really is true.
It is. It is. All right. So we need to get our pilot license, and because I trust myself fully to drive a Humvee. I don't trust myself to fly a helicopter.
You just pull back on the stick. It goes.
Oh,
up.
yeah.
You use
Temperatures and pressures. Who gives a fuck?
the pitch and the yaw. It's on the foots. It's on the feets, right? And then I
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I got my drone license. How much different could it be?
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So everyone listening, if you're a pilot, please correct this man. He
I
needs to
have
be taken down.
a Part 107 license. It is called a pilot's license. I have it around here somewhere.
All right. Side note. So I saw, I saw Top Gun twice. I want to see it again. Top Gun 2 twice.
Maverick.
And the whole time, so little fun fact about me. As a child, I always wanted to be two things. A pilot and like an oceanographer, which every kid I know wanted to be an oceanographer. Not original. I still kind of want to do that though. But the pilot thing, I wanted to specifically be in the Air Force or the Naval Air Force division section. What are words? But
What are words?
but I have terrible eyes, so that's not allowed. But watching Top Gun 2, Andrew, the thought, and I didn't tell you this because I was like, he's probably just gonna roll his eyes in the back of his head when I walk away. But like, I literally had the thought, I was like, what if I just kind of explored the idea of getting my pilot's license? Legitimately. Like
Jackie in the theater like this. She's like this. This is a visual joke, everybody. She's like this. I'm gonna enlist.
Well, okay. I've talked about that before. I did the ROTC during college. I dated a Marine. I dated a man from the Army. Like, I definitely am geared toward the military, like, in my past.
Okay, all right.
And I did actually
wanna hear about
research. Don't you know? I have until I'm 39 years old to enlist in the Navy, Andrew.
Well, there we go.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So
All right.
there's a history there, but that I just wanted to share that little side tangent. So to answer that question, I would go after an F-18. There you go. So
Yeah, you're not thinking properly though.
I know.
It's just,
no, it
where's
would-
the aircraft carrier to land it is the question.
or an airport, an airstrip. I just need enough space to bring it down. It doesn't have to be on a carrier. You know that those planes don't have to land on planes don't have to land on carriers, right?
I know they don't have to. Okay. But also,
It's cooler that way. I get it.
yeah, you want it to catch that hook.
That's a plane. Here we go. That plan. I can't say the same word.
Plan.
That
Plan.
plan. Semantic satiation. What is it? Semantic
Plan. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
We're quoting Ted Lasso, people. Please watch it if you
Season
haven't.
one.
But that would be another great place to fortify an aircraft carrier on the fucking ocean with an F-18 to just zip back and forth.
I gotta go get groceries. Be right back.
I'm just saying.
Highway to the danger zone.
You need to you need to add that song
There's a
to
bunch
your soundboard.
you see like a bunch of the infected, you like carpet bomb their
Just unlimited supply of ammo and missiles and everything else. Yeah.
hunters are like, oh Jesus Christ.
That fucking plane is back.
Again.
Or
It's
her.
her again.
Or her.
You basically like you terrorize everyone equally. Like we don't ever know what's gonna happen. All we hear the plane and then devastation follows in its wake.
Okay, so you know what just happened here, and we are a prime example of this. The pendulum swung way too far.
Right. You were like, I would only use it for good.
Yeah.
For good bombing runs, let's go.
Oh God! All right.
Load me up. I got
Back.
missile lock.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm crying. I'm gonna cry. All right. So up the ladder, you're prompted to hit L3, and when you do, Joel says, "We're almost there." Hop down from the box truck and go right towards the military preparatory school, and then this happens.
Military preparatory school.
Yeah, nice way of saying orphanage. I wonder what happened to all these kids.
Well, this place has been out for a good stretch. They ain't kids no more.
Meaning they're either hunters trying to kill us or they're dead.
Or they got away.
But you don't believe that.
I believe in getting out of this city. Come on.
I agree, Joel.
Oh,
Oh,
I
but
believe in Harvey Dent.
wow. Wow. So run to the other side, but head right before you go down the alleyway. Turn towards the dawn of the I wrote wold, whatever that word is. Blah, blah, blah. Turn. So run to the other side, but head right before you go down the alleyway. Turn towards the Dawn of the Wolf Part 2 advertisement on the brick wall, and as you near, Ellie says, "Hey, there's another one." And she continues with, "These posters are everywhere. And it's prom time again." And Joel says, "I saw this right before the outbreak." Ellie, "You did? Does he totally gut her by the end?" Joel, "Nobody gets gutted. It's a dumb teen movie." Ellie, "Who dragged you to see it then?" Joel, "I don't know. Let's just stay focused, all right?" Ellie, "All right." So grab the few supplies by the disgusting dumpsters and then proceed towards the alley on the right. Joel, "Let's go through the alley." And then you hear that fucking Humvee, and Ellie, "It's that fucking truck." Look, me and Ellie right there.
Truck.
Joel, "It's all right. Just keep your head down." And as you creep up behind the buildings, you can hear the conversation between the hunters regarding how many cans of bacon the one man found, or now has in his possession. It's 25, or rather 24 now, because he ate one can. And he found these cans in a military locker from, quote unquote, back in the day. The conversation continues here between the men, but it's just about the bacon. And from here on, with the Humvee truck in the street out ahead of you, just get through this. Survive. Kill the men. Use a smoke bomb and run to the other side of the street. Kill more men and keep going. There is no beating this truck. Exit and round that back alley, kill more goons, and keep on going. Enter another building, grab whatever you can find, which may or may not be there, and go up the steps. Loot where you can, pass vending machines whenever you must. There are also restrooms or water fountain until eventually you come to an open window in the other office. Take the metal stairs up, cross the boards, shimmy across the ledge towards the open window. Joel, I think we lost him. Once inside the bedroom, grab the meds and the parts lying around. There are also familiar books on the shelves, along with Dawn of the Wolf, The Bash, The Turning, all significant titles we have talked about in the past, and also very recently. And we walk out into the living area of the apartment from there, snag any more parts on the kitchen, and go to the open window on the end of the wall. Shimmying along the ledge again, Ellie, "Oh shit, Joel, we're okay, they can't see us." Because the truck started driving on the street. And keep on shimmying. And then you go through a window, and this happens.
Joel, stop! Look.
Leave him alone.
Easy, son. Just take it easy.
It's all right. They're not the bad guys. Lower the gun. Man, you hit hard.
Yeah, well, I was trying to kill you.
Yeah, I thought you were one of them, too. Then I saw you. If you haven't noticed, they don't keep kids around. Survival of the fittest.
You're bleeding.
It's just nothing. I'm Henry. This is Sam. I think I caught your name was Joel.
Ellie.
How many are with you?
They're all dead.
Hey, we don't know that. There were a bunch of us. Someone had the brilliant idea of entering the city, look for supplies. Those fuckers, they ambushed us, scattered us. Now it's all about getting out of this shithole.
We can help each other.
Ellie.
Safety in numbers and all that.
She's right. We could help each other. We got a hideout not too far from here. Be safer if we chat there.
Right, take us there.
What?
Yes. So
He hits hard. He hits hard.
he does hit hard. and I like it. What am I trying to say there? Um, before we jump into the last little section, the military school conversation is another interesting exchange because Ellie knew exactly what her situation was, but Joel tries to cover up the truth, a truth that she outright states regarding the kids once kept there and their subsequent fates or supposed fates. And he's trying to shield her from these things, but it's curious to me because his motivations either being on the surface level or something a little deeper might be starting to take place here. As in protect the expectations of this child to avoid ruining the light in her in a very dramatic sense of saying that, or why bother laying it out when we could be dead in 5 minutes. I know in the beginning of this, we were very like, he would be option 2. Why bother? Fuck, I keep hitting my mic. Sorry. Why would he bother explaining things or putting the time in? Because, moment to moment. But I think it's starting to shift here. Or do you still think it's more of the, what good does it do us to talk about it?
I think it's reading her, right? And just picking up on the cues, right? Like it's clear that Joel knows what that place was and probably assumes how most of those people are dead, but that doesn't do Ellie any good hearing that, right?
Yeah.
So it's more like meeting her where she is, to me at least. And yeah, if he was a glass half empty guy before, let's just say he's not glass half full, but not glass half empty. He's still like determining how much is in the glass, if that makes sense,
Yeah. I agree with that. I just thought it was curious because his tone in particular was like, we don't know that. Like very like
We don't know that.
Yeah.
I just didn't really care for the way he said preparatory.
Preparatory. You leave him alone. He's wonderful. Let him say it how he wants to say it.
It was just maybe one too many syllables. I don't know. Maybe I don't give it enough syllables.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
completely-
I say preparatory, but there is preparatory. Like, we're skipping over letters if we do preparatory.
So many extraneous letters and words,
What? And we made it all up anyway. But yeah, I just
language.
who even knows? I just thought it was curious to see what angle he might have been taking there. Because she's very like, or dead. Like, just, yeah. And that's a little bit of a call out to her in that moment too, because she's normally more of the positive kind. Like she's normally, we don't know that.
Yeah.
And now she's kind of here, but that's more of a close to home situation. So that might be the determining factor between that.
Could be. Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, there's a big one. So Joel's I don't know comment regarding who dragged him to see a dumb teen movie hurts. Because we know exactly who dragged him. So-and-so, so-called dragged him. And he continues to deny it all in real time. Whether it's him not wanting Ellie to know of his daughter in an effort to avoid getting closer to this teen so that if he loses her or fails their mission altogether, he can walk away unscathed, or because he refuses to acknowledge his past with Sarah in any way. Either or, it's heartbreaking. And we know Ellie doesn't willingly walk him into these situations, but it happens and will continue to, whether it's on screen or not. Along with the seeing Sarah's name conversation and commentary that we had on a previous episode, do you think this moment, or moments more in line with this than just a name written on a wall, affect him a little bit deeper?
Almost definitely. This is like,
That's a memory she's opening.
yeah, accessing a memory directly, so it's not like he could wiggle around like, oh, I've met another Sarah or something like that. It was like, who dragged you to see this movie that you clearly remember?
Yeah.
You know? So, and that is like, fuck, you know, like one of those situations like,
Yeah.
never mind, you know, whatever he says there. I don't know.
He says, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's very, very clearly like hit him unintentionally. It wasn't like Ellie,
Yeah.
you know, she was just, it was just that's, I feel like that's the question that any of us would ask. Like, who would, what? It would be like, you know, if I was talking, you know, we came across like a Twilight poster and it was like, it's just a teen vampire movie. It's like, who brought you to see that?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. But
I don't know.
And isn't it interesting that Ellie doesn't push though?
I think she knows. I think she's more probably empathetic than maybe we even give her credit for. Not that she's not curious. It's just Joel offers some information pretty willingly, and then other information, you know, when he just shuts down, I think she knows enough by now, to know like, I won't, it doesn't behoove us to continue this conversation in any meaningful way. So,
Yeah. And I'm just going to aggravate him and he'll get more quiet.
exactly. I think she just picks up on the cues that he drops. She's become quite good at that.
She's intuitive. We've been mentioning that from the get-go. She's very intuitive.
Very much.
And lastly, with this little section, that motherfucking Humvee. I have never hated a vehicle more, and it's egregious how OP that truck is. It really is, because it does add a level of impenetrable. I can't shoot my way out of this tension, which up to this point is new for this game, because all other foes could and were either outsmarted or beaten. But this truck, nope, not this truck.
Stronger than the Rat King.
Yeah, it's true.
Spoilers.
The Rat King, yeah, the Rat King falls. But did you realize the first time playing this game that you were not going to be able to take this truck out, or did you waste a whole lot of ammo on it?
So I did not waste any ammo on this truck. I did this time. I told you it's a chaos run. There's something very funny that happens with this truck though, and I'll tell you. I was able to get two of the three guys, the first two, or three or four, I can't remember. I was able to get two of the guys in the first shop, like right when the truck's outside, and then the third guy was like, "Oh, we got guys down or whatever," and then the truck started its shit. So the truck knows you're there; it's shooting directly at you, right?
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I still threw a Molotov and I hit it. And when you hit the truck with a Molotov, it makes the sound of being discovered. So like when you're discovered, you know, like that ting, like that sound that happens.
Yeah.
So like when the truck got hit with the Molotov, it made the sound. And I was like, that's very funny. It already knew where I was, but I'm now discovered. And then I was like, I'm sneaking along in between the barriers and stuff. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to throw another Molotov. And I threw another one and it made the sound again. I was like, you already know where I am. What is happening here? But yeah, that whole scene is set up. And I think the game does a really good job of conveying to you, like, through the dialogue, like, we just got to go. Like, don't, just run, right?
Yeah.
And it is some VGAS where it's like, you go behind this building, you can go around, and then there's, like, strategically placed things that are cover. And you're like, okay, I kind of get what we have to do here. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm sure you could probably try to shoot at the truck. I'm sure people have tried to shoot at the truck. Maybe I could like get in that little slot and hit the driver
I've tried.
right in the head.
I tried. No, there's one way
Drop
to kill.
the shit down the easy,
And it's not in our chapter. This
right.
one.
So, I mean, you could probably try to throw the Candy McGee at it as well. But yeah, it is just very funny. Every time it got hit with a Molotov in my game, it could have just been a glitchy thing. It was discovered sound. Yeah, but you've been shooting at me the whole time. You know where I am.
Yeah. I mean, there's a locator, a character locator. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It was like, well, we kind of thought he was here, but now we know he's right there.
Yeah. We got you. They got your number, Andy. You revealed.
I revealed my position. I feel like I should have done a little more damage to the truck. I don't know.
Just a little.
Molotov?
But for the last little section, I want to talk about the cutscene.
Yeah.
So the ambush and fight sequence introducing Henry and Sam is a gem. I think the way Henry immediately changes his tone when Ellie comes through the window is brilliant. The acting is just like perfection. And the fact that a man traveling alone, I mean, pretty much in any world, even if not video game one, but a man traveling alone is a danger to everyone around him, possibly himself too. But a man traveling with a child is something different completely in this world. And thankfully in this situation, it's a positive thing. Ellie getting Joel to stop before Joel saw that Sam had a pistol is interesting. And I have a comment about all this stuff, but the introductions, I think this scene is a huge talking point when it comes to Joel revealing his name, which is a big point of contention for me when when people talk about part 2. I'll get to that in a minute. But it's a quick cutscene that has a lot to it. It's thick, as it were. But that is the end of our episode 16 Financial District. Let's go into comments, though.
We did it.
We almost did it. We're
It's
almost
done.
there.
I'm going to end the stream now.
You get back here right now. So Ellie getting Joel to listen to him was another big step. I think there's been a lot of big steps in the Pittsburgh
Making progress. We're
chapter.
making progress.
Yeah. He was quote unquote blind by the whole rage kill attack mode that he slips into after he himself was attacked. And for a man who lives entirely, for the most part, especially up to this point still, minute to minute most days, to stop mid-assault was something else to see. And I don't believe he'd stop for just anyone. So either the tone of her voice or her assertion on its own is already enough for him to be like, oh, I have to listen. Like, I am going to stop. Excuse me. But it's a big sign that they're going in the right direction as a partnership on this road to Mordor. But
Mordor.
Mordor.
You nerd.
We are doing a podcast for a video game.
Yeah, but on some nerd shit. No, I was kidding.
Oh, we love the Lord of the Rings, just FYI. But I mean, there's not too much to talk about it beyond what was just said. I just think it's a big step for them. There's been a lot of big steps for them lately. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is, just continues that, we're going in the right direction instead of, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. It's showing us that that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
This one, we're going to talk a lot about this one. So strap in. Joel being annoyed, he was clearly annoyed at his name being said aloud by a stranger because he heard Ellie, and then not outwardly acknowledging that is his name is something I really want to burn some time on. And I know we've mentioned it in the past that Joel was weary of strangers from second 1 of the outbreak. All the way back in our first episode, I talked about this, about how with Sarah and Tommy in the car, he was the one to refuse to help strangers on the road. Literally a road down the house from his house. He was already like, no, fuck them. And that was 10 minutes into the apocalypse. So
the switch flipped very quickly for Joel. It's like, no, we help no one.
Yeah. Yes. And here we are 20 years later, and he's still acting the same way. I mean, he couldn't do anything about Ellie saying his name, but he never confirms it. And he does outwardly show annoyance that, now here's Henry saying, I thought I caught your name was Joel, was it?
Joel.
So this all happens, and we can see his innate knee-jerk reactions play out in real time. And yet in part 2, it shows that only after about 4-ish years or so of living in Jackson, Wyoming, and in that community, that when placed in a room full of strangers surrounding him, no less. So he's literally like the bullseye in a fucking target board positionally. He says his name. He literally just Joel. And I know I'm jumping way ahead, and we absolutely are going to return to this in depth later on when we're covering part 2. But this is absolute nonsense to me. Like, this is, and no amount of cozy living or baby brain would fundamentally change a behavior that was ingrained in him from the second the world ended. And I will never fucking be convinced of that. I have listened to, and this, I know this is going to upset people because I see it on my timeline still, but I've heard Neil Druckmann comment on it. I've heard other people who work for Naughty Dog talk about it. Tons of people in the fandom kind of defend this whole, like, you know, just out of fucking nowhere. Yeah, all these people, I'm in the center of the room. Yeah. Joel. Mm-hmm. No, I will never fucking be convinced of that. Tommy technically was the one that said,
Classic Tommy.
I'm Tommy, this is my brother Joel. And that's when Abby has that moment that takes over when she has that realization. And then fast forward, we're at the Baldwin mansion and bam, he's just like, oh yeah, no, I'm fucking Joel. What? Who are you? Are you not Joel? Everyone's Joel. And it's like, stop it. That is the laziest writing to me. And I'm telling you, when we get to part, you already know this, but listeners, and I apologize for this. When we get to part 2, I'm going to have very respectful discourse. My opinions are still going to be strong, and you might not like that because I know we have, you know, we just read an email where someone like The Last of Us Part 2 is my favorite game, and I don't want to disrespect anyone's feelings or opinions, but you cannot convince me ever. No amount of argument, because I've seen them all. I have seen them all. I've heard them all.
Out.
And it's like, well, you know, he's been in father mode for 4 years. Well, you know, he's been like just living the good life, building and crafting his guitars, going on patrols every once in a while, hanging out with the people. So what? He's just going to forget every single thing that he's lived through the last 21 years of his life? Absolutely not. That's not how people work. That's not how people operate. Tommy, I understand.
Tommy, careless AF.
No, well, no, I understand Tommy being more careless, though. He was in Jackson way longer, and he didn't do what Joel did at the end of part 1. So that, I mean, like, my whole life, if I was Joel in the moment at the end of part 1, and I made that decision, and it was the right decision, I would forever be looking over my shoulder. And you cannot, in any way, shape, or form, make me believe that he would be, yeah, I'm going to stand in a bunch of room or a big open fucking space by a bunch of people I don't know, all dressed pretty much in military gear, FYI, with fucking 2 Humvees outside, which he passed on the way in with his horse, and just openly say, oh yeah, that's who I am. No.
It's getting dark.
Yeah, good. That's a good tension break because I get very up in arms about this still.
Trust me.
Andrew has sat through hours and hours of me just letting it go.
You know?
And he's going to have to sit through more hours when we get to the...
What have I done?
But I genuinely want your opinion on that. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me to an extent? Do you agree with me, period? Like, where are you at?
Insofar as it applies to this game at this moment in time.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He does seem annoyed that someone else, that a stranger knows his name. Mm-hmm. And then doubling down on that, he does get further annoyed when Ellie volunteers her own name.
Yeah, and then he gets annoyed when something else happens we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah. So, Yes, right now he is a very guarded individual. I'll leave it at that for right now. At this moment, I do agree with you that he plays it very close to the chest, and in my opinion, rightfully so. How could you trust somebody in this world that you've just met? You don't even really know. I mean, he does make a good point about kids, and there is another kid. So each of the adults here does have something they are protecting or something that it would be terrible to lose. So in that regard, they're in a similar boat. That does not change much for Joel, in my opinion, really. It's like, that's like the lowest bar to hurdle. Like, oh, you're looking out for a kid? Bravo. What do you want? A standing ovation? Bravo. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about that. Joel's like, oh, yeah, go ahead. Good for you, I guess.
Yeah. But you're not
As
going
it
to
relates
comment
to this
on the-
game. As it relates to this game.
So you don't just.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Oh, we're going to burn a bridge. So Andrew doesn't agree with me.
Well, when we get to it, we will discuss.
Now I'm going to get annoyed with you. Tell me, you don't have to dive into it. I just want to know pretty much like yes or no.
What's the question?
Do you think that in the situation Joel finds himself in after saving Abby's life several times, in a room full of strangers,
Yeah.
he would just announce his name?
Just to be clear, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He confirms. Tommy's like, I'm Tommy. And then it cuts to Joel, and he's like, Joel. Tommy
Okay.
said it first.
I'm misremembering,
Yeah.
but okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You're not going to upset me. We've talked about this ad nauseum.
I think probably having Tommy there, I think having anybody there, he might be a little bit, anybody he deems capable might sway the decision to divulge information a little bit. I think if Ellie was there even, he may have. Don't get me, I don't think it's like a guy thing. I just think anybody, if he's got like a wingman, to bring it back into Top Gun parlance, if he has a wingman, he might feel a little bit better about the situation, even though they are
surrounded,
desperately outnumbered in that situation. But,
and that's my point. They're outnumbered. They're strangers. Even having that absolute faith that he clearly had in his brother, I still don't think it would be enough.
But also the yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay.
No, I don't want you to agree with me.
No. I'm not.
Yeah.
I just know
Just
that
for
we
the
have
sake.
a ton of ammunition when the second game comes. Not too far into the second game. Maybe chapter 1. Maybe chapter. I don't even know. I think it is the first chapter.
It's not.
It's close. It's
It is-
chapter
it is, yeah.
2 or 3. Yes, and given what they had just gone through together as a unit, I think that built a little bit of trust. Like it wasn't like, like I guess, there are no atheists in a foxhole type situation, right? Like that was the surviving of that
Horde.
yeah, true actual horde of infected. I think that builds a certain instant camaraderie that maybe they were just drifting off of. Adrenaline was high, we make mistakes. We're all riled up. So I don't know.
I know. And again,
Trust me.
I'm going to repeat all of this again in many, many months from now. But I think he knew it though. That's the one problem, because the way he stands and the way he says it and then feels that instantly everything changed in the room. I don't know. It's almost like he knew he shouldn't have said it, and he shouldn't have, and
What
he
if
wouldn't
was
have.
like, Kevin.
Well, did you ever see? Oh my God, there was the funniest meme when the game was first released, and then all that insane backlash, which I don't even want to talk about that. But somebody did like literally 2 frames where it was like Tommy is like, I'm Tommy. And then it just, or no, it was 3 frames. It was like Tommy and then a picture of Joel in the middle and then end credits. And it was like, I'm Tommy. And then it was, I'm Frank. And then it was like, end of part 2. And I was like, yeah, that's, it's like pretty much how it would go, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So that's all. But that was a big talking point.
Fair enough.
And I knew we were coming to it, so I
Not the
wanted to
first
spend.
time, not the last time.
Nope.
Oh boy, oh,
Nope.
oh Jesus.
It's getting dark.
All right, but Henry. Let's talk about Henry.
Henri.
So Henry was so warm from the get-go, and I know we all know this to be true and real to who he is in the game, but at first it's definitely a little off-putting, but not in the game, if that makes sense. Like, it's in my mind where I'm like, I don't, like, when I first played this, I was like, I don't know if I should trust this man yet. Like, I had that moment where I'm like, but he's so, like, he just seems transparent with everything that he's saying. And the reason why I felt that way is because, of course, we're shown how little anyone can be trusted in this world, and yet here is this man just willing to team up without even knowing who Joel and Ellie are. Just the fact that here is a grown man with a kid, so clearly he's not a piece of shit hunter. Like, this kid is still alive and thriving and fed. Like, you know what I mean? And beyond that, Henry is willing. Like, his voice even sounds hopeful to an extent. And yet, I said that too many times. I'm sorry. But we know what becomes of Henry.
Yeah.
And that's, to circle back to Billstown, like, that is Bill's wisdom playing out for us long before it plays out for us in The Last of Us Part 2. But it does make me wonder how long someone with that disposition, Henry's disposition, could last in a place like this, in a world like that. And I know Henry himself says we left as a group recently to see about supplies in the city. And he openly admits that it was a dumb idea. So I'm under the impression that he's been sheltered sheltered more than being out in the world. In QZ his whole life. And we find out later that he's about 25 years old. And I think Sam is probably around like 10 to no older than 12. And, so Sam was not born when the outbreak happened, and Henry was 5. So his idea of the world is, I think, is kind of in line with Ellie's, which is probably the reason why he is so warm. Because he hasn't been out long enough to be where Joel is.
Yeah. And you just have to imagine the beginning of the outbreak is a far more brutal time than now, right?
Yeah.
Because there were just more people, more infection, that type of thing. So in a way, Joel had been through the worst of it. In addition to, like, day 1, right? It's like, oh, this is a pretty bad day. And then imagine it's like, oh, and then there's 365 more really bad days after that one, So
Yeah.
that is what I think, that's the difference in perspective there between Henry, Ellie, Sam, having, like, their respective ages, having what their experience, what their history brings to it kind of defines their personality. So if Henry, and by extension Sam, grew up in what would describe as like relative safety, a sort of community, it makes sense that they would warm a little bit easier, even to a stranger.
Yeah.
But also be able to, the thing that's interesting about Henry is be able to pick up on instant green flags and red flags, right? That is something that I think Sam and Ellie kind of lack at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Henry is like, ooh, has a kid. That's a good sign. Not
It's a green
necessarily, not necessarily like out of the woods, but like instantly more trustworthy than those fuckers out there,
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah.
situations. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And kind of like segueing from that right into the last talking topic is Joel agreeing, but not really agreeing to go as a team because, after Ellie's like strength in numbers tactic was a little bit surprising. Like, I think he knew he had the upper hand in the physical fight with Henry and likely believed Ellie could hold her own against Sam because he's constantly assessing all of these things at like lightning fast speeds. But what's but that excuse me. But that's kind of the point. Like he judged all of these things and deduced it was safe enough for the time being. And I think it was enough for him. So it's more of a minute to minute Joel happening right there before our eyes. And so much that it surprised me, but if I thought about it a little bit deeper, which is of course what I did, like it clearly was a calculated move because when you go from, well, now these two people know who I am, like my name and her name. They don't know what we're doing, where we're going. And technically Joel and Ellie know more about Sam and Henry because of where they came from, and what kind of happened and where they're going to an extent. I think he played it well because it's like, what if these people do eventually turn against us and Joel and me and Ellie break away, but now they know where we're headed in a general direction and they send people after us and blah, blah, blah. So I think like all of these things had to be taken into consideration very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a lesser of two evils situation that they kind of landed upon.
Yeah. What you said reminded me of, this is a weird reference, but one I think you're probably familiar with. If you remember bear with me here, The Bourne Identity.
Oh God.
It's old, and you might not remember this exact scene, but what you said reminds me a lot of something in that movie where he like wakes up and he's not super sure where he is, and I'm really not even actually sure where he is in terms of like geography in the movie. But like he's with the woman, his partner throughout, I guess soon to be girlfriend, wife, love interest, whatever. And he's like trying to figure out, he's like, I don't know my name. He's like, but tell me why I know like that guy at the counter is the most likely one to have a gun. And if need be, it's like I've already clocked 3 exits here. Like that's kind of like Joel, like this preternatural ability to be able to like look at a situation and figure out like 3 exits here. I could take that guy. He probably has a gun. Like one of those situations.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't necessarily, maybe based on previous experience that Joel has, again, being the oldest one, he's often referred to as the old guy or old timer or whatever. Yeah, old man, old timer. And this it just felt really funny to me. I'm like, oh my God, old timer. He might have enough experience to know that strength in numbers is not always the case, right? Like that could just very well be it. Like it's like, yeah, that's a nice sentiment, but oftentimes it throws into question all of that calculation he makes when he goes into a room. He's like, if he's just accounting for him and Ellie, that's one set of calculations. If there are these 2 other people now, okay, now we have like a whole other set of variables we have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, and we see that, I played a little bit ahead. We see that play out in a kind of exactly probably what he was anticipating fashion very soon in the next chapter.
Yeah, our next, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree. And I love the likening it to that particular moment in the Bourne Identity, which I saw those movies once. I've never seen them again. So I don't really remember a lot, but
You should rewatch them. They're really good.
I'll rewatch them.
Paul Greengrass. Oh my God. What a director. What a director.
But that is officially the end of Pittsburgh, the financial district. So our emotional toll, where are we at?
It's pretty good. It's like a 6 6.
6 out of a 10.
What are you, like a 14?
No, okay, so we have the pistol moment, and then the military boarding school, then the Dawn of the Wolf. I'm gonna go 7.5 out of 10.
I feel like the Russian judge, you know what I'm saying? Like, 6, like,
Just very,
ooh, Russia with the 6.
just so hard.
Ooh, that
Yeah.
hurts.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. So would you have survived this?
Nope. No. I
Nope,
would have
I
hit
would have
6
lived.
tripwires. I would have hit 6 fucking tripwires somehow. Because I was looking up. I was like, there's guys above us. There's just dead.
I just watched this happen. Please watch our podcast.
Just dead. Like, unbelievable. And here's the deal, right? Even as I was making my way through these, the cover from the truck, Joel still got hit by a couple 50 cal rounds. He was okay.
Yeah.
He just put a bandage on. Me, I don't think I'm as resilient. I get hit with a couple 50 cal rounds. I think that's lights out for your old pal Andrew. So
I think that's
no.
lights out for all of our old pals.
I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there, but not me. Not me.
No.
So no, I would not survive.
Well, I made it through the bombs unscathed, the tripwire bombs. So my big problem. Thank you, Jill. My big problem would have been the 50 cal.
Right.
So
Even getting clipped by a 50 cal probably hurts. Doesn't even have to hit you directly. My Joel had blood on his chest. So he got hit somewhere center mass.
done for. Just done for. Toast.
I just put a bandage around it. Put a bandage around your arm. When you get shot in the chest, you bandage your arm and it's all good. I don't know if you are a doctor like I am, but
Video game ish shit. Which, I'll just talk about that right now. So, no, we'll talk about video game ish shit in like 2 minutes. But
all right, fair enough.
yeah. I'm going to say. I'm going to say yeet. For would I survive or not? Yeet.
I'm waiting for you to type it out here. You got to put you should put the accent on the E. Or like the triangle, the upward, like the carrot. I don't know
I don't know how
what
to do
any
that.
of those modifiers do. So
I'm going to just leave. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be a yes and a no. I feel like I could. I'm little enough. I could just.
okay.
Go
I mean,
under.
I don't know where are we playing the same game. There were like 20 hunters in the square at the beginning.
Yeah.
20.
20.
So you're saying not a problem. I kill all those guys.
Yeah.
Then you get through the tripwire area again.
Yeah.
4 to 5 hunters in this area. Mm-hmm. You get to the next thing, which is the truck with the 50 cal machine gun. You are not hit once. Also 4 guys there. Then you get to Henry and Sam, and you don't get choked out.
Yeah.
So you're good. All right. I mean, hey, you know what? Fair enough. Stronger than me.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving it a yes.
All right. Fair enough.
Oh my gosh! But that's our show. Some social media and contact details. You can follow us on Twitter at TLOU Podcast. And so this is the problem with recording shows ahead of time, because one of our bonus shows that we recorded days ago now, I was like, and we have an Instagram finally. Yay, we're announcing it. But now this show will drop well before that show.
What?
So
No, it's all relative. We say finally for like the next 3 shows, and then it all
that's true.
consistency. We finally have an Instagram, and then
Yeah.
next week we finally have an Instagram.
Yeah.
And then the bonus show, we finally have it, and then we don't say finally anymore.
People are gonna be like, how many finalies they fucking are? Yeah. But we do have an Instagram, and there's nothing on it right now, but it's Wayfarin Strangers. So if you'd like to go follow, please go do that. We would love it. If you'd like to follow our Twitter, you can do that at TLOU Podcast. If you'd like to email us directly and be featured on one of our bonus shows, either the email show, well, yeah, it would be an email show because it's an email. You can do that at tloupodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to support our show, throw, donut money or coffee money or whatever you want and contribute towards all of the things that we are doing right now and Wayfarin West coming up shortly. You can do that by going to ko-fi.com // TLOU podcast. We appreciate it very much.
I really miss coffee.
Oh, I love it.
It's all there on screen, video people. It's all down there.
It's all,
down there.
Yeah. Right here.
Right at the bottom.
Right there.
It'll look better next week.
With
when
my
I have more
tattoo.
time.
Anybody just yes. So our next episode will be next week. It will be a bonus show, either more listener artifacts or the email show. We recorded some of both. So whichever one goes will go up next week. Quick announcement. Special shout out to Mr. Joel, Mari, Kelsey, and Dave. Thank you so much for supporting Wayfaring Strangers. We absolutely appreciate you and love all of the generosity and encouragement that you give us on a very regular basis, and for just being you. And
Done.
and I love interacting with y'all over there. Like I posted a video of us kayaking, like, well, not us, but like it was just like the water and where we are and everything, and it was just like. And Mari commented just something. She was like, "Oh my God, it's so lovely. Hope you're having a great week." And I'm like, I love that. Like, I love that interaction.
Mari, well done.
Mari. But Wayfarin West, we will be trekking out shortly to begin this series, and we cannot wait to share all of the things and adjust all of the learning curves as we go along. So be sure to keep an eye out for more information regarding that as the weeks progress. Thanks always for the lovely response to our little show. If you like this, recommend it to a fellow Last of Us or video game friend, and be sure to rate and review us on iTunes. Lastly,
The iTunes.
the iTunes, the Apple Podcasts is what I meant. But our t-shirt campaign is going live this Thursday for exactly 21 days. So if you would like to get your hands on a video game-ass shit t-shirt or a mug, you can do that. You can do that. Just those two things for right now.
I should get one.
You should get one. We should both get one.
I should be drinking out of it during this podcast, actually.
That's we're going to do that. When that goes live on Thursday, we're also going to buy our own shit. So I will have links for that in the show notes and on Twitter and all of the places. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys so much. Andrew?
Until we're hot dogging through the defunct district and out of sight from the mother effer of all Humvees again. Next time, Wayfarers, this is where we shimmy away for now.
Finger guns.
Incredible.
Bye.
Bye.